Welcome back. You know, we often hit this wall when we dig into really deep spiritual texts, don't we? There's this gap.
Mm.
How do we actually live these ideas, not just understand them intellectually?
That's exactly the heart of it. And it's what we're tackling today, looking at the clarifying tenet, the Mingzong section from the commentary on the Diamond Sutra.
Right. Think of Mingzong as getting to the core principle, the main point for actual practice that comes out of the Diamond Sutra's wisdom.
Exactly. It's the guiding focus.
And we're using the commentary by Master Jiang, specifically his take on Mingzong. So our mission today, it's really to pull out the absolute key insights on how you, the listener, can genuinely connect with these Buddhist teachings.
Moving beyond just, nodding along intellectually.
Yeah, exactly. We want to see how you can weave this stuff into your actual life, make it real.
And right away, the commentary hits you with something maybe a bit surprising. It really champions practice putting it front and center.
Even above sun understanding.
That's the emphasis. It frames practice as the more fundamental aspect of engaging with these teachings.
That definitely pushes against how we often think. Like,
Yeah.
you need the theory solid first, right?
Yeah.
But the commentary brings up these examples, people achieving deep realization just through focused practice.
Like just reciting Amitabha Buddha single-mindedly.
And it wasn't just like mindless repetition, was it?
Yeah.
The commentary stresses they reached a serious level of concentration.
Deep concentration, yeah. Both conceptually and on a more profound, unified mind level. And the signs when they passed, pretty amazing stuff.
Like passing away, standing up.
Or sitting, knowing their time.
Exactly those kinds of things. It really drives home the point that while understanding helps, especially if your faith isn't quite there yet.
If you do have genuine belief, you can kind of bypass endless intellectual debates and just do the practice.
Precisely. Consistent practice, even if the complex philosophy isn't fully grasped initially, can still lead to realization, to enlightenment. So understanding sort of builds the confidence, the faith, for those who need it. But if the faith is strong,
Then the commentary suggests the need for heaps of explanation really drops off. Your energy goes straight into applying it.
but it also acknowledges most of us are somewhere in the middle, right?
Yeah, that's key. Not super sages, not purely devotional figures. And that's why, for most people, the detailed explanations, the commentaries, they become really important. They bridge that gap.
Okay, so let's dig into this idea of cultivation or correction. What does that actually mean here?
Well, the commentary defines as actively fixing our mistakes, correcting wrong views, wrong thoughts, wrong speech, wrong actions. Basically, how we perceive and interact with the universe and life itself.
Identifying where our perception is off.
Right. And those errors, those misperceptions, are seen as the root cause of our suffering.
Mhm.
The whole cycle, the 6 realms of reincarnation mentioned in Buddhism.
Driven by karma, these different states of being.
Exactly. And while the commentary says the appearances within that cycle are ultimately illusory, like a dream,
The suffering feels real.
absolutely. The nightmare analogy is used. The dream isn't ultimately real, but the fear you feel in the dream, that's tangible. That suffering necessitates the correction.
So cultivation and practice is the work of fixing things on all levels: body, speech, mind.
Actions, words, and crucially, our thoughts and views. It demands constant self-reflection.
Looking at your thoughts, are they helpful, harmful, good, bad?
And actively stopping the negative ones the moment they pop up. That's the discipline.
Which is quite different from just, say, shaving your head or being vegetarian or chanting mantras, although those are often associated with practice.
Right. The commentary is clear. Those outward forms can be supportive, definitely, but they aren't the whole picture. True cultivation, true who, starts inside, with the quality of your thoughts, your intentions.
That leads perfectly into personal realization. The scriptures reveal the truth, the wisdom of ultimate reality, but just knowing about it isn't enough.
Not at all. You have to experience it through practice to really benefit. Direct realization lets you live from that place of wisdom. The commentary calls it the scenic realm of Huayan, implying this vast, interconnected understanding.
And how do we get there? By constantly remembering the teachings.
Remembering and reflecting, yes. Using the principles and methods from the scriptures as your standard. Constantly checking your thoughts, words, actions against them.
Like actively trying to cultivate a pure mind, an equal mind, a compassionate mind.
Exactly. And the commentary even tackles that worry people might have. Like, if I'm too compassionate or ethical, will I fall behind in the world?
Yeah, will it make me less successful?
It contrasts that with how Buddhas and Bodhisattvas operate. Their way, rooted in wisdom and compassion, is shown as ultimately more effective, more convincing. They benefit others, and that naturally builds respect and cooperation.
So truly getting the meaning, Binziom, is vital for actually using these teachings effectively in life. It's practical wisdom.
Which brings us neatly to the distinction the commentary draws between Zen school and doctrinal schools. Different roads, same destination, basically.
Okay, for someone maybe not deep into Buddhist traditions, break that down versus Jina.
Sure. Ji mostly means Zen. It emphasizes direct awakening to your own true nature, often through things like meditation. It kind of bypasses deep textual study, focusing on that direct experience. It's traditionally seen as suited for people with, let's say, a high capacity for insight.
More intuitive, perhaps.
You could say that. Whereas Shi includes most other schools. They rely on studying the scriptures, contemplating them, to gradually realize the true nature of reality. It's a path through understanding the words.
And the commentary notes the word religion originally came from within Buddhism to describe these different practice approaches.
Yeah, an interesting point. Its original Buddhist meaning isn't quite the same as our general modern use of religion. Within Buddhism, really points to Zen, and pretty much everything else falls under Jiang.
The commentary also mentions a modern concern, that sometimes Buddhism gets treated just like any other religion, with lots of enthusiasm, but maybe missing the core point of liberation.
Right. There's the concern that people might generate good karma, get a good rebirth human, or even heavenly, but still miss the ultimate goal, awakening, getting out of the cycle entirely. Both Zen and the doctrinal schools aim for that same awakening, just via different methods.
And Pure Land Buddhism is given as an example of.
Yes. Chanting Amitabha's name to be reborn in the Pure Land. It seems different from Zen, but the goal upon arriving there is enlightenment, guided by Amitabha Buddha, seen as this incredible teacher.
Okay, so shifting focus slightly, the commentary looks at different ways. The core tenet of the Diamond Sutra itself has been interpreted. What about Great Master Z's view?
Z puts it as using the wisdom of realization to cultivate giving without attachment.
And is giving generosity? So, giving without attachment, what's the key there?
It means giving without discriminating, without clinging to the idea of I am giving, this is being given, or they are receiving. No mental residue.
Unlike giving where you're thinking about getting something back or wanting recognition.
Exactly. That kind of attached giving brings limited worldly rewards, but selfless giving, done with this wide awareness, this non-attachment, the commentary says that generates immeasurable merit. The intention, the lack of ego, is crucial.
Then there's a more recent interpretation from Layman Weinong.
Right, and the commentary suggests his take is maybe a bit easier for modern folks to grasp. He puts it as leaving behind all appearances, cultivating all goodness.
That does seem pretty direct. How does it break down?
Leaving behind all appearances is about non-attachment to existence, to phenomena. Cultivating all goodness is about non-attachment even to emptiness itself. So you're avoiding both extremes, getting stuck in thinking things are absolutely real, or getting stuck in thinking everything is just void. It really captures the Diamond Sutra's middle way.
And then the commentary boils the entire practice of the sutra down to just two characters.
Yes,
Yeah.
non-abiding. It argues this single concept holds everything, both the view, how you understand things, and the practice, how you live.
And the classic story illustrating this is the sixth patriarch, Weinong.
The pivotal moment, hearing that one line, "See abide nowhere, and thereby give rise to the mind." Boom. Complete enlightenment. Instant understanding of everything. Buddhist teachings, worldly stuff, all of it.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
But the commentary adds a caveat, right? While that line worked for Weinong.
Any line, any word in the sutra, or any true teaching could be the trigger for someone else, depending on their own karmic readiness, their connection.
So what does Ba really mean then? Non-attachment to everything.
Pretty much. All dharma's phenomena, concepts, things, worldly, transcendental, doesn't matter. Not getting stuck on existence, not getting stuck on emptiness. The commentary says this present moment of non-abiding is the diamond wisdom, the gat.
It reminds me of Huineng's famous verse correction, too. Shangxi wrote about the mind being like a mirror needing constant dusting.
Right. Body is the Bodhi tree. The mind is like a bright mirror stand. Constantly wipe it diligently, not letting dust collect. Very much about effort, about doing.
But Weining's response, coming from this realization,
Originally, there is not a single thing where can dust alight. That points directly to that state of inherent purity before the abiding, before the clinging starts. It's a radical difference in perspective, rooted in non-abiding.
so Weining is our view, our understanding of life in the universe,
Yeah.
is how we actually live. Ordinary life is full of suffering because we abide, we cling.
While the life of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas is full of wisdom because they don't abide, the Diamond Sutra is essentially the guide for making that shift.
And the commentary says the later parts of the sutra make this even clearer.
It gets more explicit. Like the quote from the Great Treatise on Wisdom.
Which one is that?
The essential point of prajna wisdom lies in leaving all dharmas, which is precisely all dharmas.
It sounds like non-abiding again.
Exactly, and which is precisely all dharmas connects to the setting rise to the mind, specifically the compassionate mind that wants to help all beings.
But crucially, you don't abide even in that compassionate mind.
Right. Any abiding, any clinging, any attachment, any discrimination, any fixation, it clouds the mind's inherent purity. It goes against Huineng's originally not a single thing.
Understanding this reveals how things we see as opposites, emptiness and existence, good and evil, self and other, are actually interconnected.
Totally interconnected. Senshin. Sentient and insentient beings together perfect the wisdom nature. All of space and the Dharma realms are one single self-entity. Realizing this deep interconnectedness is the leap from an ordinary being to what's called a Dharma body bodhisattva. That's the big goal.
Which leads to those key concluding lines in the sutra. Leaving behind all appearances, then one is called a Buddha.
Meaning bodhisattva. Anyone who has let go of all attachments is, in essence, participating in Buddhahood. Now, Buddhas here can mean bodhisattvas who've started realizing this, right up to fully enlightened Buddhas. Different levels of realization, or both, yeah.
Like bodhisattvas who can manifest different forms to help beings, as mentioned in other sutras.
Exactly. Like the Lotus Sutra or Sarangama Sutra talk about appearing in whatever form is needed. Advanced bodhisattvas, these Dharma body bodhisattvas, can totally manifest as Buddhas with all the marks and signs.
And getting there, attaining that Dharma body, requires breaking through ignorance.
At least one layer of it, yes. And that requires leaving behind all appearances. Attachment just blocks you. It keeps you stuck in the lower realms or even just the 10 Dharma realms and stops you seeing your true nature.
And there are different kinds of attachment, right? Gross ones and subtle ones.
Gross ones are obvious. Fame, money, desire for nice sights, sounds, smells, tastes, touch. The 5 desires and 6 sense objects. Then there are the really subtle ones, the 4 formless conceptions. Attachment to a self, to others as a separate, to beings as fixed categories, and to lifespan or continuity.
The sutra really hammers on those 4 subtle ones.
It does. You need to let go of even the gross ones just to make basic spiritual progress, even for rebirth in the Pure Land. But to really break through, those subtle 4 have to go.
So dunabiding, or leaving, is about letting go of all the mental clinging. That stops the afflictions.
Both the coarse ones and the subtle root ignorance. Non-attachment leads to concentration. Concentration allows you to break ignorance, realize the Dharma body, and enter the realm of Buddhas.
And that ties into the other big line. By cultivating all good dharmas without attachment to self, others, beings, or lifespan, one attains an uttara samyak sambodhi.
Right. Without those 4 attachments, that's the standard for a real bodhisattva in the sutra's view. Not just someone called a bodhisattva, but one who's actually transcended those clingings, who's achieved at least partial realization.
The sutra keeps repeating those 4 concepts: self, other, beings, lifespan, because letting them go is absolutely key.
It's central. You have to internalize that letting go to achieve seeing one's nature and ultimately the goal, Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi.
Which is?
Unsurpassed, complete, perfect enlightenment. Buddhahood.
Okay, in the second part of that line, cultivating all good dharmas. In this context, what does good really mean?
It means genuinely benefiting all beings. And the highest form of benefit in this view is helping them wake up, helping them attain enlightenment. Actions that don't lead towards awakening aren't considered truly good in this ultimate sense.
Like the Buddha's own life, teaching, guiding, helping beings awaken. That's the model.
Exactly. That's the bodhisattva path in action. And Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi becomes the standard for what counts as good. It's right awakening, free from delusion, grounded in non-attachment, grounded in seeing your true nature.
So it's different from, say, the insights of scientists or philosophers, or even other religious awakenings that haven't fully cut through ignorance.
Right. Those might be forms of awakening, but not the right awakening that transcends the realms. Getting rid of those four attachments leads to the awakening of arhats and pratyeka Buddhas. Going further leads to right and equal awakening.
Equal.
Yes, the realization of Dharma body bodhisattvas. They see the inherent equality of their true nature. This covers bodhisattvas from the first stage of the round teaching, all the way up to near Buddhahood.
And once you see your nature, your mind operates differently.
Completely. Interactions are based on this true, unchanging, pure, equal mind. No discrimination, no attachment. It's not like the ordinary mind, driven by consciousness, fluctuating all the time. When you see your nature, break that layer of ignorance, your mind aligns with the Buddha's sincere mind.
But wait, how can you attain enlightenment if the whole point is non-attachment, even to attaining things?
Ah, good point. It's a bit paradoxical in language. The ultimate perfect awakening is already inherent in your nature. Practice is about removing the stuff that covers it up. So you're not gaining something new, you're revealing what's always been there. That's the meaning behind perfect bodhi returns to no attainment. You enter the non-dual understanding.
So Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi is basically the same as the prajna of realization the sutra talks about.
Synonymous, yes. Though we shouldn't get too attached to the terms themselves.
Right. Avoid clinging even to Buddhist jargon.
Exactly. So leaving appearances and cultivating goodness, that's the phenomenal side, the practice. Prajna, wisdom, is the essence. Both lead to contemplative wisdom,
Which is about
both benefiting yourself, keeping your mind clear moment to moment, and helping others wake up. True prajna means you can detach from appearances. That brings wisdom, a mind that stays pure no matter what's happening externally.
And if you just do good deeds without that understanding of non-attachment.
Then your mind isn't pure. You don't have genuine prajna. And that can lead to frustration, maybe even blaming the teachings if things don't go as expected.
So understanding contemplative wisdom and prajna clearly is vital.
Absolutely. Prajna is called the mother of all Buddhas. It's the source. The whole point of studying the Diamond Sutra is to live in that wisdom. Applying that principle, detach from appearances while cultivating goodness in everything. Getting dressed, eating, working, talking to people, mindfully, sticking to the principles.
Consistent mindful practice in daily life.
That's what builds the power of contemplative wisdom. And that power is what eventually lets you realize the prajna of reality. Wisdom and life become one. You see the non-duality of everything. That's the ultimate guide for practice.
Wow. Okay, so boiling it down. Practice is paramount. Grounded in understanding, but ultimately taking precedence. We have these different paths like Zen and the doctrinal schools, but they aim for the same place.
Mm-hmm. And the core principle, however you phrase it, Z's version, Jiang, Weinong's, or just Cha, comes down to non-abiding, non-attachment. That's the key to unlocking wisdom and freedom.
So, for you listening, maybe just reflect on this. Think about one small thing you do today. Could you shift it, even slightly? Move from doing it with attachment, needing a certain result, wanting praise, to doing it as an expression of just, non-abiding kindness or generosity.
What might happen if you started stringing those mindful moments together? What could the cumulative effect be on how you see things, how you experience your world? It's definitely food for thought.
Something to keep exploring on your own journey. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thank you.